And now, weighing in out of the blue corner, Josh the Punk Thompson. 100%. And on the other mic, he weighs in from the red corner, Big John McCarthy.
All right, well, now we are lucky enough to have the newest addition to the UFC, a guy that went in there on 4 days' notice and whooped some ass, getting his first victory in beautiful fashion, ground and pound like a sumbitch. Austin Vanderford, what is up there? You were perfect. The only thing that was not perfect was the haircut.
Oh,
we got to talk about that big old poof ball in the back.
Man, you know what? I had so many people before like, dude, the hair is awesome, man.
It's awesome. I'm an old man. See, I don't know what's cool.
Yeah. I didn't know until I grew it out a little bit that I had the curls that I have in the back. So if it was just straight, I definitely wouldn't keep it. But the curls keep it,
Keep it tight.
Yeah.
John's had the same haircut and hairstyle since he was like 5.
Yeah, this is the way it is.
This is how it falls. This is the way it is. He doesn't have to comb it. He literally puts a hat on, takes it off, it looks the same. Puts a beanie on, takes the beanie off, it looks the same. He doesn't care.
I wish that was true. I actually had to comb my hair for this right here because I didn't want, Austin to be able to say, well, look at your fucking hair.
He's lying, bro. He's lying. He did not comb his hair. That's the way he wakes up. I've been to his hotel room to pick him up to get coffee. Let's go get coffee. Wakes up. He's like, I'm just getting out of bed. He opens the door. It's just the same. Nothing, no bedhead, nothing. Just that's the way it is.
He's a good-looking dude, though, man.
There you go. You hear that, Josh? That a baby, Austin.
That's guys like us, Josh. We got to mix it up a little bit. Right?
Austin, do you see that logo behind his head? Notice how his head's blocking it? Of course you don't see that logo because his head's in the way. That's why.
Yeah.
Hey, brother, it has been awesome. Obviously you have, to us, we know, but tell the fans, you showed the fans the other night, your ground and pound is some of the best in the business. People don't give you enough credit for that style. Like, look, people can wrestle, but man, to do the damage on top is what gets people to become fans. And I was telling you, we were talking off air right before. I said, look, she didn't marry you for any other reason than your ground and pound. So let's be honest, right?
She just whispered. It's true.
Girl. No way, Paige.
That's awesome. But I mean, look, we've been able to call your fights. I've had you at the desk a couple of times at Bellator when I was working for them. We talk about your ground and pound all the time, not just your wrestling, your ability to chain wrestle, your ability to do damage from the top, and also chase submissions, which opens up your submission or your ground and pound as well.
Yeah.
Like, did you feel like you had to change anything? Hey, this is a big opportunity going into the UFC. Did you feel like I had to change something, or did you feel like I'm just going to go back to doing what I do best?
Yeah. I think the opposite had changed. I think the biggest narrative going into this, and my coach Bahumpa preached it so much, and King Mo, they were like, hey, back to the Austin prior to the Gegard Mousasi fight. And a lot of things have changed too from all that. My mentality, my health, lifestyle, just everything. And I mean, I got caught in the ideology of, man, I got to go out and knock guys out on my feet, and I got to mix it up a little more like that. And it's so the opposite of what I need to go out and do. And I think it was kind of a blessing being on 4-day notice, and I had no other choice but to just go out and do what I do. And and I'm prepared to do that any time of the year. And 4 days, whatever it was, give me a 2-month or a full fight camp, and it would be even more vicious. So,
can I ask a question? Let's rewind a little bit because I know I jumped right to the fight, but I want to actually start. How did all of this come about?
Dude, so the Saturday before the card, I'd actually, thank God, done a really hard training set. Usually my Saturdays are a little more kind of technical, not really a crazy workout, but I ended up doing a really, really tough. I did 2 back-to-back practices Saturday morning, and so we had gotten home. I was a little wiped. I had a hard week of training, and I had laid down to take a nap before the fight card had started. And I was just kind of waking up, and I felt my phone start to buzz. And I looked over and I saw Sean Shelby. I was like, oh, fuck, I better take this call. And
Oh, no, you should have just, fuck, I'm tired.
yeah. So I answered and he was like, hey, I know it's kind of short notice, but if you're available for this coming Saturday in Seattle, we've got a spot for you. And I was like, dude, done, man. He was like, what do you weigh? And I was like, doesn't even matter, dude. I will make 170. And so got that immediately. You know, my dreams had been made, and I was pumped, and we got to enjoy the fights that night. Sunday rolls around. I was like, hey, I should be signing my contract today, and Sunday comes and goes, no contract. Monday I get up like, okay, I definitely got to sign it now because I got to fly out tomorrow morning. Monday night gets here. I still haven't seen a contract yet.
So and now you're thinking, which one of my friends was fucking with me?
Yeah, now I'm like, okay, now what's going on? And Monday night at, I think like 6 p.m. or something, I get a call and say that the opponent I originally had declined the fight. And I'm like, fuck. And, you know, and then they say right away, but we've got a backup plan. We got another guy. He said yes to the fight. So I'm like, okay, cool. You know, whoever it is, let's go. By 9 p.m. Monday night, I get another call back saying that actually he's not going to be able to make it. He can't make weight. So we'll see what we can do. Mind you, we're supposed to fly out at 7 a.m. that next morning. So Monday night, you know, I'm laying in bed at midnight thinking, damn, I was that close. And, you know, now what? But talking to my coach, he said, hey, keep the same mentality. We're fighting Saturday. Yep. Stay on the nutrition plan, stay on the cut diet, and, you know, and everything's going to work out. Heaven forbid you just have to do a mock weight cut for a few days. You'll be fine and all this. So Tuesday morning, we actually canceled that flight and moved it till the evening, you know, just in case. And thankfully at like 11 a.m. Tuesday morning, said, okay, same opponent who said he couldn't make weight last night said he can do it at 175. Are you in? And I was, done. And,
absolutely.
And so, from there, I was filling out paperwork up until we had to leave for the airport. And and then the rest was history.
Let me ask, let's go back in this just a little bit also with when you're taking a look, you were with Bellator and then you kind of got in that whole PFL thing, a little bit of a mix and stuff, but then you left and you were able to go and do a fight. I think it was the LFA.
Yeah.
And you had that, because I watched the fight. It was with Romero, Victor Romero.
Yep.
And so you had that. And I was like, way to go. At least you're keeping yourself busy. You're getting back in the game. Because it did seem like you walked away for a little while. What was it? Was it injuries? Was it to get your mind right? What was the reason why?
Yeah, it was both. It might have been the first punch I thrown against Aaron Jeffrey. I shattered my hand, and I ended up having to get 2 operations on that. And so that alone put me back a year. But yeah, there were changes that I need to make in my mentality. And just overall everything. And, you know, we had some personal stuff going on in our lives that, you know, everyone goes through. All of us fighters go through the same shit. But, you know, it was hard and it weighed on us and having to get some stuff done and figured out there. And it was a good kind of like midway break in my career where, you know, I really came at a crossroad. Is this what I really want to do? And if so, here's your options. This is what you can do. You can, you know, get a nutritionist, move back down to 170, work on, you know, your fighter mentality, you know, improve on some things that you need to improve on. Or, you know, we're fine financially. Maybe be done and you know, go enjoy our lives and do that. And for me, that was never really an option because I love to compete and I love to fight. And, you know, I love going to the gym every single day. And so, you know, I had the 2 options and it was apparent and an easy one for me to make. And so then it was putting all the pieces into place and going from there. So the little break I had was so beneficial for me, mentally, physically, healing and all that, and put me in the spot here today.
Do you think a big reason why they had called you for that location in Seattle is because you're kind of from that area, right? From that Oregon area?
I think so, but I had also knew that I had told Sean when we had a conversation, we had kind of talked and they were like, hey, go out, get a finish, go get a win, maybe 2 wins, but just stay ready, be ready, because it could be that, they kind of put it, it could be like a 3-week short notice or something,
Yeah.
not a 4-day short notice, but so yeah, from October 18th on, I've just been ready and basically looking at every fight card, like, okay, there's 2 welterweight fights here. There's a welterweight fight the next week. Like, maybe that's my opportunity. Maybe that one's there, and let's just stay ready and do the proper training and recovery. And if they want to call me on, 5, 6, 7 day notice, 2 week, I'll be ready no matter what.
You've got wins over guys like Fabian Edwards at 185 pounds, though. Like,
Yeah.
What was the decision making in the process of, hey, you know what? If I go to the UFC, I'm going to cut it to 170. I know that you had struggled to make the weight before, just didn't like to probably make it either.
Yeah.
But what was that process like, having to make that decision? Did you tell Sean, hey, I plan on fighting at 70 for you guys versus 85?
Yeah. And honestly, Sean and them were like, well, it'd be easier if you wanted to fight at 185 because the division isn't is stacked there, and we got a ton of guys at 170. But I knew going into this, the best run I could make was at 170, and all I had to do was get the right team in place and all that, and that's exactly what I went out and did, and now I feel better. I feel so much better at 170. 170 is easier for me to make right now than 185 was in Bellator.
Oh, really?
That's great. One of the things that, Josh and I talked about just on the last couple of podcasts is, the difference in wrestling styles. Henry Cejudo was a gold medalist, and he's a phenomenal freestyle wrestler. But when we talk and look at wrestling styles that really adapt themselves to MMA, folk style, which is something you did forever, is absolutely one of the things. When you see someone able to control and use their body and control someone on the ground, put them in bad positions that you can use your ground and pound, which, like Josh said, you got a vicious ground and pound attack. You can see the difference between the international style freestyle wrestlers and the guys that wrestled in college and folk style high school, whatever. There's just a huge difference in their ability to maintain the positions and control on the ground.
Yeah, and I think going back thinking about like collegiate wrestling and riding time and control like that, I think is the big difference in all that. And it's funny, at the gym we've got all the Dagestani guys there, and we always joke, like, I'm like, oh yeah, I'm an American wrestler, and they're like, you're kind of American, kind of Dagestani wrestler, and like, yeah, okay, that's cool. So yeah,
good compliment.
When you when you knew who the opponent was in, how do you say his last name? Vertenikov?
Yeah.
Vertenikov, yeah. When you saw it was him, his height, his reach, I know you've had to deal with that, throughout your career, but was there anything you saw in him that you're like, hey, I can exploit him this way? Not just by the wrestling, but you thought on the feet you were going to have problems with him at all? Was there anything you looked at him like, okay, he'll give me problems here, I can exploit him here, those kind of things?
Yeah. Watching his fights, I think his Contender Series fight, he fought Michael Morales, who's tearing it up at 170, and I think Morales wanted a decision. But I saw Nikolai was really good at what he does, and going back to how this was kind of a blessing on 4 days' notice, I had no other choice. I couldn't adapt to any other thing. It was, hey, I got to go out and just be Austin Vanderford and do what I can do. And that's how I'm going to win this fight. And, so I was just forced to do that. I knew he kind of fought tall. He had good teeps up the middle, a good check left hook, that kind of long Russian style hook, and so I saw some holes, and he when he would strike, he was really forward. Can you guys?
Yeah,
Okay,
We got you. We got
there
you.
we go. When he'd go in to strike, he was really heavy forward, kind of lunged forward a little bit, and that's when I saw the single leg right away. I wanted to feel him out on the feet and just pick up some of his tendencies, and you see things on film, and then feeling it in that moment is a little bit different and stuff, and it was actually a lot easier than I anticipated. The way he just was so forward heavy, it was easy to pick up that single leg, that first one, and switch off to a double and get the finish.
Have you ever experienced what you experienced at the end of that fight? You saw he was upset with the stoppage. There was some talk back and forth about it. He was still kind of covering himself. I mean, obviously that's not your job to care like what the ref does. Like you got the win, you move on to the next one. I can tell you were already celebrating. It's just what goes through your minds at that moment when he comes over and gives you the shove?
It caught me off guard because my back was kind of turned a little bit. I thought he could have at least manned up and pushed me from face to face. But no. All that being said, too, I get it, man. We're going out there and we're laying our lives out on the line, and this is our job, and you get frustrated at times, but I'll say, there was 45 seconds left. He wasn't getting out of that. I was going to land 50 more shots on him. My second win was kind of coming right there. And, I was going to be able to get 50 more shots off, and they were going to get harder and harder. So
Do you know how many shots you got off there?
We went back and counted.
38. 38 unanswered shots. You had that beautiful, what we call an arm lace, where you had his right wrist and he wasn't going to go anywhere. You're absolutely right.
No, I felt it. I had such a good grip on it, and he wasn't even really attempting to get that arm out. So that's how I knew he was cracked. I honestly thought he was just giving up right there. And then when he kind of was like going crazy at that, I was like, I thought you were giving up right there. Like, what are we doing, man? But like I said, I don't fault him. I understand, man. And to me, it wasn't really a big deal. It was it made everything a little more sweet, a little more cool. Got the fans into it, and got to hear the USA chants and stuff. So it was cool. I'm happy. In hindsight, I'm happy he did it.
It was you flipped him the double bird. You pulled out the Stockton trademark of the Diaz brothers. So now you're both East Coast, West Coast.
Yeah. Had to throw the. Ironically enough, too, I dropped the gentleman nickname for the fight, and would have been a little more funny to have that after. But yeah.
I'm going to take a look in the weight class here and just give me like a couple word answers on what your thoughts are on each one of these guys. Obviously you're familiar with him, but never fought him. Was Michael Venom Page?
Yeah. Obviously dynamic striker, really good footwork. But I think it was Douglas Lima watching his fight and seeing how he could exploit him a little bit and stuff. And, just getting the timing down. I feel guys like that, I feel like I can get my wrestling going on styles like that. So,
Vicente
Luque, powerful puncher, good all around game. Another one though. All these guys, I feel like I can implement my wrestling style on them and wear them down and take some of that sting off those punches.
I'm going to put these three together because they all have really good stand-up. Is Carlos Prates, Michael Morales, and Stephen Thompson.
Yeah, man, all of them. I was watching Carlos Prates last night, I think. I see the openings. I see things. And of course, it's always different when you're watching it versus being in there live and stuff. And we can all say, oh, I see exactly what I can do it and stuff. But again, man, I see the openings and I see where I can get my game going.
And then lastly, in this top 10, okay, I'm going to go through the names, but give me guys that you're saying, hey, these are the guys that would motivate me. These are the guys that I'd want to fight. You've got Jeff Neal at 10. You got Colby Covington at 9. Gilbert Burns at 8. Ian Machado, Gary at 7. Joaquin Buckley at 6. Sean Brady at 5. Jack Della Maddalena at 4. Kamaru Usman at 3. Shavkat at 2. And Leon Edwards at 1. Obviously, you have the champ Bilal. But give me someone in those top 10s. Give me 2 guys in the top 10 that you feel like, hey, these might be good matchups for me. These are guys that motivate me. These are guys that I think I can beat.
Yeah, I think Sean Brady would be a really fun fight because stylistically, I actually think he's probably the toughest one, maybe outside of Shavkat and Bilal, but similar style. And it would just be a fun fight. I think a really fun matchup. Clash, not clash of styles, kind of the same styles going in, and let's see whose style wins.
Gotcha. I mean, he's fighting Leon Edwards coming up. I mean, with the win over Leon, who's number 1, I mean, that puts him right into that title talk. I do love that fight with you. I also like the fight possibly with like an not Ian Gary, but a Joaquin Buckley.
Yeah.
Both guys coming from the Bellator kind of family, and then also now making their run at 170. I mean, I think that'd be a fantastic fight, and I'd love to see the chirping that he does to you, and the way you have this way of shrugging things off that people say. People don't know that about you. Like, you kind of let a lot of things just roll off your back. Probably better than anyone I know in the MMA game.
Yeah, it's funny. It makes it easier for me when guys like I think back at the Fabian fight and all the talk. It made it so much easier for me to want to go out and hurt him. And and when a guy's like nice, like my opponent this last weekend was so nice, like any interaction we had, and it's like, come on, motherfucker. Like
until the end, he's like, yeah,
and I was like,
from behind.
Where was this? I needed this earlier on in the week. Where was it? So it's and I understand the position I'm in and who I'm married to and what all that's gonna bring, and I've always embraced it. And it's fun, man. Those are the things that get the butterflies going and make all of this like so much fun to go out and do. So those talkers, Colby, all of them, man, it's fun for me.
Have you talked to the UFC about, hey, I want to get right back in there, since you didn't take any damage that I saw, real damage or anything, put a lot of damage out. But have you talked to them about, hey, I want to get back in there as soon as possible, or do you want to now go back to working the camp, working on things and taking some time?
Yes and no. I'm ready to go back out. The only damage I took was self-inflicted. I burst a bursa sac in my elbow from throwing some stuff.
Smacking a skull.
Yeah. So, but I mean, that's a easy heal. I'm just going to stay ready, and we're just going to go and improve on, what I'm good at now, try to get even better and work on the areas that I need to improve in a little bit. The coaches and I talked right after the fight, and we came up with a good plan going forward with everything. So, I want to stay active, in a perfect world, fight 3 more times before the year's over, and just really, really make a run at this.
Let me ask you this, because your coaches you had, I'm going to say 3, okay? Because you had Pahumba, you had Molal, and you had your wife.
Yep.
But Pahumba gets a lot of credit and he gets a lot of publicity, and he deserves every bit of it. He's a great guy, great coach. But the guy that hasn't received a whole lot is Mo Lal. What's it like to have Mo? Because I've been around Mo a ton, and Josh, he is an absolute student of the game. He knows everything about everybody, their tendencies, what they do, where they're good, where they're weak. What's it like to have him in your corner?
Man, thinking about like coaches in MMA and stuff, and like you said, give so much credit to Coach Bahumpa, because
he's awesome.
that guy's a mastermind. But that motherfucker King Mo I'll never not have him in my corner. I feel bad, like fight week, we're working stuff and he's like, hey, whatever. I've elbowed him so many times, cut him open, just, doing, but the dude is.
You're the worst partner ever.
You're horrible. Everyone, now you're listening. Do not bring in Austin Vanderford to be your training partner. No, just kidding.
Yeah, no, he's such a team guy. and so smart, so intelligent with fighting, but I think his best asset for me is my confidence in what he tells me and how he builds me up. And he's always like, dude, why would you ever question anything, man? Like, you just go out and you be confident in everything you do. Cause I'm telling you, Austin, I've been around a lot of guys, and the things you can go out and do, like, go and do that shit. But from a strategic standpoint, he's spot on in all his breakdowns. That entire fight was scripted exactly what we did leading up to it. In the 4 days going up, it went exactly how we planned it. And credit to King Mo and Puhumpa.
If you were able to pick who your next opponent is there someone right now that you're like, hey, you know what? I know I've got to work my way into the top 15, but give me another opponent.
Yeah, man, I was looking a little bit on the plane.
Put it out there. Let's go.
I know. I was looking. I was trying to look at some of the matchups. Obviously, we want to work up and get ranked opponents, but I'm realistic too, and I know that realistically, my next opponent will be another guy. But man, there was a few names I was trying to think. The Leech, maybe. Yeah, someone. I think a good opponent would be someone who's been in the UFC for a while. A guy who's got a lot of experience and maybe not a quote unquote gatekeeper, but someone like that where I can go out and show like, hey, I can do this to this guy. He's been in it, been with some of the best guys in the division. And, I think a guy like that would be a really good matchup for me next.
Alex Morano?
Say that again.
An Alex Morano type?
Yeah, there you go. Someone like that too. Yeah.
Alex Morano's tough as hell.
He's tough. Good on the ground, crafty on the ground.
Yep, a guy who can take a beating and then just come back in and someone like that would be incredible.
All right, look, this is my chance because John likes to tear me apart when fighters don't know the rules. So simply put, did you get a chance to watch the main event?
Yes, I did.
Okay.
Yeah.
Your take and your as a fighter, your take on how that whole ending played out.
Yeah. So
let me lay the land.
Yeah.
No,
Okay.
See now when he says lay the land, what he's going to try to do is bait you.
Trying to have sex with the land. That's what I'm trying to do. Lay the land, buddy. That's what we do around here.
Go ahead.
So Henderson Cejudo takes a slight growing shot in I think the second round. Takes another slight one in the third. It's like glazes off or whatever. Then after that, he gets an eye poke. It's a double eye poke. Both fingers, two fingers go into each eye.
Yeah.
Obviously, takes the break, takes the full 5 minutes, which, John, correct me if I'm right. You're not guaranteed 5 minutes for an eye poke, by the way.
No, you're not.
Yeah, you're not. So everyone's like, oh, he's taking his full time. See, look at his eyes. I didn't know that.
Yeah.
Fighters don't know the rules. Bottom line is, Jason Herzog did him a solid and let him take the full 5 minutes.
Yeah.
Did him a good solid. Then he says, okay, look, I'm going to go ahead and keep fighting. Then you can see he runs around. He tries to get his vision back. It seems like after the 5, the minute of running around, then he goes to the break. I guess after the break, during the break, he's telling his corners. You can see Herzog kind of off to the side a little bit. Don't know if he heard. I don't want to speculate, but he's saying it pretty loud. I can't see. But he's already said he was okay to fight. Then the after that happens, they bring in the, what are they called? It's not the supervisor, the
inspector.
The inspector.
The inspector was in there the whole time.
Yeah, I was in there basically just talking to Henry, saying, hey, you're going to continue. And he's like, no, I'm not. I can't see. So they decide to stop the fight. They start the round. What is your take on that whole situation? Should it have gone to the 4th round? Should it have been stopped when he said he couldn't see at the half? Give me your perspective on this whole thing.
Yeah. I mean, I think if he's saying he can't see, then, it's the cutman and the doctor's jobs to, keep us safe. And, a lot of us are, not a lot of us, all of us are tough if we're in here, especially in the UFC and all that, and protect our longevity and all that. So it was kind of weird. I thought if he really couldn't see, I didn't know why he continued on for another minute to finish the round. So I don't know, if he was looking, if he thought maybe, he won the second round and was trying to get to the judges' scorecard. And, I don't want to speculate on all that either. But yeah, I mean, the guy says he can't see, the fight's over, I think. And it was kind of unfortunate to kind of take that away from Yadong to, a fight to end like that. And
Take it away from what? Take it away from what?
Taken away from Song,
From Yadong?
to end. Yeah.
See, you had to go there.
I had to
go there.
I was
I know.
laying the land, John. I was laying
I
the
know.
land.
To have the fight end like that, and because then it opens up, well, should there be a rematch, and should these guys run it back again and everything, and it was kind of weird. It's tough. I don't want to speculate either and talk, because Henry's the one in there, and obviously seeing the after photos and stuff, his eye was compromised and everything, but yeah.
But I want to get into the conversation with you more so about a fighter not knowing the rules, just because I've been trying to talk to John about, hey, there should be, John runs a command class basically for people to get certified to become referees. And I feel like that fighters should make themselves more available for when he does that, for them to show up and say, hey, I need to know the rules and understand what the mindset is. Because for me, even after we got done filming on Saturday, John, and I went back and I started watching the fight, and then I watched how it all played out. I have even more questions now.
Yeah.
And it's just how it goes. And I asked John, I always am constantly asking him, like, hey, what happens in this what happens when this happens? How come he did that? Why did the ref interfere here and not here? Same exact scenario, those kind of things. This situation to me, I actually started to change my mind a little bit, having conversations with other people and also just in my mind, looking at the details. If he would have if he would have stopped the fight when he got poked in the eye, that's your opportunity to say, hey, I can't see, I was fouled, done. Once he said he could continue, the foul now is no longer available. Am I correct, John? Like, no. I can't go back and say, oh yeah, now that because you were able to fight. You said you were able to fight.
I have been called by everybody that you can think of that is part of the sport, either officiating or running regulations for people or being part of the UFC and doing things, all of them. There are some things that I need to clarify. In the state of California, I will tell you that the problem is the UFC says we follow the unified rules of fighting.
Yeah.
Okay. Back a long time. Well, not back a long time in 2001 when we did the rules.
That's a long time ago, John.
Okay. The person who typed up what we all said and everything and laid it out on the paper was a guy that's still in New Jersey, Nick Lembo. And when it came to, that's the only thing we talked about was 3 and 5 round fights, because that's all there was. So it was the way he wrote it. It said that a fight must enter the 3rd round of a 3-round fight, or it must enter the 4th round of a 5-round fight for you to be able to go to a technical decision. States like California have changed that to where they say, if it finishes the 2nd round of a 3-round fight, you can go to if it finishes the 3rd round of a 5-round fight, you can go to a technical decision. But that's a small difference in what the unified rules say. From what I've been advised, Washington kind of has the same thing as California. So that's why Jason really didn't start the fight, because it looked awkward. Yeah. Because he was going to, then he said, no, I don't have to because of where they're at. And so when you take a look at it, I've had a ton of officials call me and say, shouldn't it have been a TKO? He's saying that he can't go. Okay, no.
That's what I wanted to know.
This is what you need to understand. It was a foul, and it's going to be different. Different types of fouls are going to stop.
No. Go ahead. Go. I got questions. That's why.
Okay.
I do too. This is
different types of fouls are going to be looked at in a different way. When you say I have a groin, I get fouled like he got fouled with the groin shot. Once he's the one in control of that time, and he can take up to 5 minutes, and he's the one that tells Jason at the time, I'm good to go. Once you're good to go, that foul is gone. You're right. It's gone. Okay. Accidental foul, Different if it was called an intentional foul. Okay.
Gotcha.
There would be a different outcome possibly later on in the fight. So when you take a look at with his eye, you're trying to get him back. The doctor says, yeah, he can go. Okay. But the doctors can't really see a scratch in the cornea or anything like that. He can just go off of the way the fighter is reacting. So he says, okay, he can go. He says he wants to go. Jason, actually, if you're going to say he made any mistakes, this is where he made the mistake in. He allowed Henry to have all that time, which I thought was right, but he let him sit down on the ground. Nope, this is not your time. This is not your time. It's my time. And I'm giving it to you. You're going to stand up because I don't want you bringing the crowd in and all these different things. But he gives him all that time. Henry, you can tell by the way he fought the remainder of that 1 minute, 7 seconds, whatever it is. He fought very defensively, moving around, running, which is telling you he's having problems with the eye. He gets to the end of the round, and during the break, he tells them, hey, I can't see out of my eye. Okay, we're gonna call a fight. If it was that the eye injury happened based upon a fair blow, meaning a punch, an elbow, a kick, and he says, I can't see, the fight is a TKO.
Gotcha.
But based upon the fact that the injury happened based upon a foul, and this is where a lot of people get confused. It doesn't matter if it's an intentional foul or an accidental foul. That injury happened based upon a foul. You're not going to lose based upon saying, I can't see. If he was ahead on the scorecards, he would have won the fight.
Yeah.
And if he's behind on the scorecards, he's going to lose the fight. It's the same as in this. I'm going to give you a for instance. Austin and Josh, you both are fighting, and Josh is very good at headbutts. He does it all the time.
Eat his ass. So
Josh is a headbutting fool, and you guys clash heads. And Austin gets cut right over the brow, right? And this is the first round. But then the doctor looks at it, says it's good. It was accidental. I'm the guy that says it was accidental. You guys both came together. It wasn't intentional anyway. The fight restarts. You guys go through the second round. You go through the third round. You go through the fourth round. You're in the fifth round, and Josh lands a high kick a la Nate Diaz, and it hits that cut and just explodes it. And it's just huge now, and your eye's hanging down. And I go, stop, and I bring you over to the doctor. Doctor says, he can't go any farther. I can't let that go. And now I'm going to say, okay, we're going to go to a technical decision because Josh is not going to win on a TKO. The cut started based upon a foul. It was an unintentional foul, but it was a foul. So Josh is now going to be in a position where he can win the fight or he can lose the fight based upon, I said it was accidental. So we'll go to the scorecards. The judges we already have 4 rounds in there. We have the fifth round. They're going to judge that fifth round. And now we'll come up with who's the winner by decision. The difference being, if it was, I said it was an intentional clash of heads, you intentionally headbutted him. Now, Austin cannot lose. He can win the fight, but if he's behind on the scorecards, Austin will it will be a technical draw. He can't lose the fight based if I said Josh intentionally. There's your differences. I don't know if that makes sense to you.
Yeah.
I think what I gathered from this whole conversation, though, was not that conversation, but is I was listening to a bunch of other media sources as well. The one thing is, and John, you said this the other night, when a fighter asks, are you going to take a point? The chances of the ref taking a point at that moment are pretty much gone.
Yeah.
They're like, I'm not going to just do this to shape the fight for you. That's one. The other thing, too, is, and I didn't even think about this, and maybe you can correct me. I believe 2 judges had it 29-28.
Yeah, they gave Henry the second round.
And so if they gave Henry the second round and he took the point, it would have been a draw.
Yep. Yeah.
That would have changed. So when asking someone to take the point, it would have made it a draw. He would have went to the scorecards, made it a draw.
It would have been a majority draw.
Yeah.
Not to cut you off, Josh, but did Henry ask? Well,
he did.
He did if they were going to take a point.
Yeah, he's going to start, you're going to take points,
Yeah.
As soon as you do that, it usually is going to work against you.
Yeah, because in my mind, like, that almost makes it seem like and I don't want to say this because I don't want to speculate but if I'm going to ask, like, hey, are you going to take a point? Then maybe it's not as bad as, like I don't know. That's a weird thing to yeah. Anyways, but yeah, crazy.
You start politicking for things to happen in the fight for you. It's not usually not going to work for you. It's
But let's be honest, though. We see guys in the NBA. We see guys in the
that's
NFL.
different.
We see guys in all different types of sports trying to game the system.
Yeah.
They're like, hey, I got fouled. Oh, I got fouled again. Oh, I got fouled a third time. Now, where do you lie on all this, Austin? Like, should there be a point taken away for every fence grab? Like, look, if I'm taking you down, you grab the fence, take the point. If I lift you up and you grab the fence, take the point. You knew you have enough command over your body to stick your 2 fingers, John, 2 fingers into those fence. I don't give a shit if it's 1 or 2 fingers. It's a fence grab. That's affecting the way this fight is playing out.
Especially as primarily a grappler. Yeah. Of course, I'm in favor. If a guy grabs a fence, because that is such a big turning point.
Don't be afraid to tell Big John how you feel, okay? I can't be the only one on this side of the screen doing it, buddy. I need your backup. We have background.
Yes,
Let's go.
I do. I'm an advocate if there's especially, I mean, there's accidents, right? I didn't mean to grab the fence, but if you hinder the takedown like that, it's such a big turning point in the fight. I feel like, that's a point in my opinion.
That's a point. So you are driven back. You're going. Let's see. You're fighting Kamaru Usman, and Kamaru Usman gets a double and drives you all the way back to the fence, and you hit the fence with your hand, and your fingers go through it, and he drags you down, but you held that fence. They should take points from you.
If he's not able,
you meant to do it. It was intentional.
Able to complete the takedown, yeah. If he wasn't able to complete the takedown,
I always say if someone goes for a takedown and you stop the takedown with the grab of the fence, I'm going to take points from you. I'm not going to give you a warning. But
that's where I'm at. Yes, if I stop
that, Josh, that's where he's at.
If I stop the takedown from grabbing the fence, I think that's a point. Now, if I grab the fence and you still get the takedown, I feel that it's in the ref's discretion to make that judgment.
This is what makes you an intelligent man.
Okay, look, you're not. I'm not.
Josh right now is going. Anytime.
Austin,
it doesn't work that way.
We got to lay the land a little bit better for you, buddy.
It would affect the fights horribly.
If you are against the fence, let me give another. If you're against the fence, Austin, okay, and I go to lift you and you grab the fence down low, so I can't lift you. That's affecting the takedown. Is that a point?
Yeah.
I'm not going to get the takedown. John just said no, and you and I say yes. Because look, I can't lift you because you're grabbing the fence down low.
Did I say hold it? Did it stop the takedown?
Well, we'll never know because I never got you off the ground. I was lifting and you're stopping the takedown. I can't lift you because
I can't help that you're weak. This is different than Austin. Austin would just pull you right up off your feet and dump you on your head.
Bad boys. Have you not seen these guns, baby?
Yes. I think a fence grab that hinders the takedown, whether it's, if I've got a body lock and I've got an outside hook and I'm going to pull you down like that and you grab the fence a little and I'm not able to complete it, that's a point.
Yeah, John. But then how it becomes up to the ref's discretion.
That's
and
right.
All refs are not created equally. Obviously, John is not the same as a great ref like a Mike Beltran or a Jason Herzog. Those guys are the top of the chain. John, it's
but I mean,
low flying, baby.
We have the questions too. Was it an early stop or a late stop? It's to the referee's discretion on stuff like that too. And so, and that's part of being a ref and taking on that responsibility. You got to make those calls, and sometimes you're going to be right, and sometimes you're going to be wrong. But I think the guys who are consistent on it are the best, whether they're right or wrong on it. If you are hindered from getting a takedown from grabbing the fence, I believe it should be a point.
All right. Well, hey, I'm going to get you out of here on this.
So hold on. We're going to go one more. So here's a Roganism is any eye poke. I don't care what it is. It's a point. Or any groin shot. It's a point.
To me, groin shot, not so much. I could make the argument more on any eye poke. Now, I of course I've been hit in the groin, but I do, I think we can all agree that it's more devastating to lose your vision versus, getting The groin. We're all men. We know
It sucks.
We know,
and sometimes it sucks for longer for one guy than it does for the other.
Yes, but an eye poke can severely change the fight. So I would be more of an advocate of that than I would any groin shot being.
I'm against both of those, and the reason being is it's common for us to grab a Muay Thai plum.
Yeah.
And how do you do that without opening your hand? And you got to get it up by the head. Anytime that happens. Now look, after Song Yadong had poked Henry in the eyes, as soon as they went back to fighting, his hands were still out. Oh, yeah. And that's on a Herzog thing. Hey, you got to wrap your hands, stop the fight, and say, hey, you just got poked him in the eye with both fingers.
Yeah.
Into both eyes. Keep your hands or I will take a point. Those are things that you have to have serious consequences for, but you got to be very direct. I think John was always very good at commanding that situation, like grabbing you by the arm and throwing you around the cage. And he did that to me a couple of times, tugging me around. Look at me when I'm talking to you. Like, is it like my dad would do? Like, hey, this is how it is.
I'm old enough to be your dad, so it's okay.
Yes. But those things, it's hard for me to say to take a point for a growing shot because what happens, like I fought Kid Yamamoto. He's shorter than me. He stepped in. As I'm throwing an inside leg kick, you go right into it.
Yep.
You know, those situations. If I go to grab the head as you're trying to throw punches and you move your head offline and I poke you in the eye as I'm trying to grab a Thai plum, those are difficult situations to be in.
Yeah, I agree. But
defense grab to me is complete control. You know. I'm sorry.
Yes.
Like, you know whether
no,
to put your fingers in the fence or not.
Fence grab 100%. That one's not as hard as the eye pokes and the groin shots. Again, though, I would lean more towards an eye poke being one versus every groin shot being one.
Yeah. Austin, is there anything that you have coming up? Anything you want to put out there as far as, your wife and you have a podcast? I know that you guys do stuff. You take some awesome pictures. I have to see you in them, but I do look at your wife more. I'm just being honest. That's just the way
yeah. Please.
Okay.
Please.
But no, is there anything out there that you're going to be part of, going to be doing?
Yeah, man, we're here for 6 days. We got here a couple hours ago. We're back to Vegas on Monday to watch Paige go slap a bitch
Slapping someone silly.
Tell me, please, before we go, what do you guys think of Power Slap?
Hate it.
Hate it.
Can't stand it.
Yeah.
Okay. And this is why. Look, I'm all for. Look, I love competition stuff, but here's my problem with it. You're basically telling someone. I look at fighting as being a defensive fighter is a smart, good thing, and that's what gets you wins. Yep. You're telling someone that they cannot defend themselves in any way. Just take this blow, which is only going to lead to traumatic brain injuries.
Yeah.
So I look and I go, you're not going to have any long-standing stars because people can only take so many shots before now they get put out by the lesser shots.
Yeah.
So I'm all for it. If someone wants to watch it, go ahead. I just look and I go, I know it's bad for the athlete.
Yeah. It's funny, obviously being integrated into it now, being around some of the guys and seeing it. And it's crazy. Like I had just last week saw like two of the guys, I think the Wolverine or something announced retirement. I was like, damn, it didn't seem like they really were.
They're not around long.
Doing this.
Been around for 2 years, bro. It's a flash in the pan. You're in and out.
That's it.
Yeah, it's crazy and good for them for acknowledging that and getting out now and stuff. I do think it's a little bit different. The females,
absolutely.
They're not. It's not the same. Same blows.
No, absolutely. It comes down to not only male, female, but the weight class.
In the weight class, too.
Look at what the guys that are heavier that are taking some of these shots. They're taking real shots.
Yes.
And it's no different than, in women's MMA. It's not, nothing. You can only generate so much power based upon how much weight you have.
Yeah.
And so your wife fought at 115. There's only so much power she can put it. I'll never forget the very first fight I ever watched your wife in, and it was in Invicta, before she was ever in the UFC. And it was this back and forth. I think it was atom weight at the time, 105 pounds.
Yeah.
And her opponent and her beat the shit out of each other. Not one had a mark.
Yeah.
and no one went down, but they were throwing punches and kicks the whole time. And it was like, That's what, having no fucking weight in your ass does. You just can't generate enough. The human bodies, although bigger or smaller, they can only take so much. And because it's being hit by a smaller person, it can actually take more and stuff. But just tell Paige, tuck her chin.
Yeah.
Here's the thing.
She's, we're excited. It's a fun thing.
Is she enjoying it?
She loves it. It's
Good.
something that has kind of revitalized like that competition side of her, because she goes on and has fun doing it. So
How I have a question.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, obviously, how do you practice for this? Is there like domestic violence at home there, buddy? What are you doing? Austin's out there like, okay, babe, you just stand right there, hold your hands behind you, and let me just go ahead and just do this. How do you practice for this?
So we were using a pool noodle, right? You've probably seen some videos. I was hitting her with the pool noodle. We upgraded a little bit to I was holding a glove right before we left for my fight and hitting her, and I think I hit her with the first one, and the look on her face after, she's like, okay, that feels a lot more like the real thing than the pool noodle does. So, man, there's not a whole lot.
No, there's nothing.
How do you internalize it? How do you say, here, I'm going to give you a for instance. Okay. Randy Couture was married to someone and she decided to fight. And I went to her first professional fight and she got hit with a shot 15 seconds into it and it broke her jaw, broke it in 2 places.
Yeah.
And I could see, her teeth were doing this. So I go, oh, her jaw's broken. Right. And so, but she's fighting, she fights through it and she goes back to the corner. And Randy was in her corner and he's just talking to her and I'm looking at her teeth going in different directions. And she goes, he goes, yeah, don't worry about it. And it was right then when he says, don't worry about it. Then I was like, yeah, you don't love her.
Yeah.
I'm just being honest.
That's tough. Yeah.
You don't love her. There's no way that any guy in loving his wife would sit there saying, I'm going to send you back out there. And he did.
Don't worry about it.
Yeah. That's a tough one. It's hard. It's hard to watch for sure. I will be more nervous next week than I was this week. I'll tell you that much. But I know what she can go do, and I'm excited for her to go do it.
You'll know it's time to exit when all the French Polynesian women start making their way into slap fighting.
Yeah,
you're like, it's time to get out. Okay, babe. Like we had our run. Okay, like let's let them take it over. We got this. I'm out of here.
Yeah, exactly.
We got our cash. We're moving on.
Yeah.
So, hey, brother, man, I want to wish you nothing but the best in whatever's upcoming next. And when you get a fight announcements, please reach out, or we'll reach out to you and try and get you back on to talk about it. And I'm just happy for you, man. Like you had your stint in Bellator at 185. You got all the way to the title shot, came up short against Gegard Mousasi, but still, like you said, you're a 70-pounder.
Yeah.
And the fact that you had so much success in Bellator at 185, I'm looking forward to seeing what you can do in the UFC at 170. I'm pumped. I'm happy for you. I'm happy for you guys both. And this is exciting news, man. This is great.
Yeah. Thank you guys so much, man. Always love, we've been around each other for a long time. So
I tell our gambling story all the time when we were out gambling, man. We were able to come up a little bit of money. We had a good time. So it was good.
Yeah.
Hey, good luck with everything. Congratulations. You look fantastic. Enjoy your UFC career and go do things the way you know how to do them. Your ground and pound is outstanding. The only thing I can tell you that can help you at all is make sure you get that cut in the back.
This is staying around for a little bit.
All right.
Little bit.
Hey, brother, thank you for being on. Ladies and gentlemen, Mr. Austin Vanderford.
Awesome, guys. Thank you.